I'm going to walk through the ViewSonic LSD400HD the way most of us approach a new projector, with a little doubt, a lot of questions about real-world value, and a desire to know whether it will actually fit the way we want to use it. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's admit the biggest hesitation most people have: you spend a decent chunk of money on a projector that promises a big screen, but then you end up fighting with throw distances, image wobble, or a dim picture that only looks good in a dark theater. That's why I spent a few evenings setting this unit up in a home office, a small bedroom, and even a backyard movie night, just to see if the specs translate into everyday peace of mind. The LSD400HD is built around ViewSonic's 3rd generation laser phosphor source. In plain English, that means you get a light engine that never needs a bulb swap and that stays bright for years without the flicker you sometimes notice with traditional lamps. The 4000 lumen rating is impressive on paper, but the real test is whether it can hold a decent image when you're not in a pitch-black room. I tried it with ambient light from a typical living room lamp and from a window that let in about 150 lux. The picture stayed bright enough to read subtitles without cranking the volume, and the HDR support gave the brighter parts a nice pop that you'd usually only see in a dedicated TV. Now, the short throw factor. A 0.5 throw ratio means you can sit just a foot or two from the screen and still fill a 100-inch diagonal. For anyone who lives in an apartment or has a dedicated home office wall, that eliminates the need to mount the projector on the ceiling or to clear a long distance of furniture. I placed the unit on a low TV stand, pointed it at a 100-inch whiteboard, and the image was perfectly square with virtually no keystone distortion. The built-in horizontal/vertical keystone adjustment and 360-degree projection flexibility let me shift the projector a few inches left or right and still keep the image aligned without fiddling with a separate lens shift accessory. What really makes the daily experience smooth is the maintenance-free claim. Because the laser phosphor doesn't burn out like a lamp, you avoid the recurring cost and the occasional "my projector stopped working" panic that haunts many first-time buyers. The only thing I've had to do is wipe the front glass once a month to keep dust from smudging the image. The unit runs quietly, around 2025 dB, so it doesn't become a background noise issue when you're watching a movie or giving a video call. Let's talk about who will actually benefit. If you're a remote worker who wants a large, crisp display for spreadsheets, design mock-ups, or video conferences, the 1080p resolution paired with the bright laser source makes text look sharp and colors stay accurate even when the office lights are on. The HDMI input supports HDR, which can be a nice bonus when you stream a Netflix title that uses it, though you won't get the same depth as a true 4K HDR TV. Families who like weekend movie nights but don't want to sacrifice living room space will love the short throw setup. You can project onto a blank wall or a portable screen and still get that cinema feel without a dedicated home theater room. On the flip side, there are a few situations where the LSD400HD might feel like overkill or just not the right fit. First, if you're strictly after 4K resolution, this projector tops out at full HD, so you'll miss out on that extra pixel density, especially on a very large screen. Second, while the 4000 lumens are generous, the laser phosphor's color gamut isn't as wide as some higher-end DLP or LCOS models, so deep blacks can feel a little washed out in very dark scenes. If you plan to use it as a primary TV replacement in a dark, dedicated media room, you might notice that limitation. Finally, the unit's size is larger than a typical ultra-compact Pico projector. It needs a stable surface and a bit of clearance for the fan, so it isn't ideal for on-the-go presentations where you'd carry it in a backpack. One practical weakness that surfaced during my testing was the lack of a built-in speaker that can fill a large room. The unit does have a modest 5-watt speaker, which is fine for background music or a quick video call, but for a proper movie night you'll want an external sound system. That's not a deal-breaker. Most people pairing a projector with a soundbar or a home theater receiver already anticipate that, but it's worth noting so you don't assume the box will handle everything. Another nuance is the 360-degree projection flexibility. While it sounds like a universal solution, you do need a flat, uniformly white surface to get the best image. I tried projecting onto a light gray painted wall, and the blacks looked a bit lifted, which is expected because the laser light is so bright.